People are always afraid of things they can't explain. Many people still believe in evil spirits, witches, and ghosts. That's why 300 years ago, two little girls made an entire town go crazy. In the late 17th century, there was a small English colony in Massachusetts in North America. It was a small settlement located on the bank of a river in the territory where Indians used to live. Surrounded by thick and terrible forests, the place always seemed hostile to the settlers, and for good reason. The settlers had to face difficult living conditions and hard physical labor. They also faced attacks from Indian tribes who burned their homes, killed them, and kidnapped people into captivity. The Indians disliked the aliens almost as much as the aliens disliked the Indians. This conflict dragged on for many decades, leaving only a few hundred of the Indians left and forced to live on reservations. But the natives were far from the only problem for the Puritans. They also faced severe diseases that were unfamiliar to them and fickle weather. The land itself seemed to oppose the outsiders. Their only comfort was prayer and faith that God was on their side, and all the hardships they faced were a test of their faith. In the small town of Salem, where every action and word of the residents became public property, events occurred that shook the entire community. After the Indian attack on the neighboring town of York, where many people died and were taken captive, tension around Salem increased. And then there are the children. Two girls, 11-year-old Abigail Williams and her 9-year-old cousin Elizabeth Parris, fell ill with a mysterious illness. Their symptoms were horrifying. They periodically fell into convulsions, screamed, threw objects, made strange noises, and crawled around the room. They claimed they were being pricked with needles. Over time, similar symptoms began to appear in other children, and they were all girls. Medical help was powerless, and superstitions began to take hold in the area. People concluded that the girls had been bewitched, and rumors of witches spread through the town. The neighbor of the Parris family, a woman named Mary Sibley, claimed that the only way to cure the girls was to make a witch's cake from rye and urine and then feed it to a dog. She argued that this would reveal who had bewitched the girls. Despite being a strange and unchristian method, the neighbors were understanding of Mary Sibley. When asked who had bewitched them, the girls named 3 names they believed were responsible: Sarah Osborne, Sarah Good, and Tituba. All 3 were considered odd in the town. Sarah Good was a beggar. Sarah Osborne rarely attended church and was a widow, and Tituba was a maid of Indian descent. These women became the subjects of suspicion in connection with the curse on the children. Suspects underwent harsh interrogations. Each of them was stripped naked to find devil's marks on their bodies, which could be anything unusual, such as warts or oddly shaped birthmarks. It was believed that these marks could be left by the devil on his servants. But the arrests and accusations did not stop with just 3 women. By March, more and more people were being arrested, including a 4-year-old girl named Dorothy, the daughter of Sarah Good. Dorothy confessed to being a witch, even though she didn't really understand what she was saying and simply responded as she was told by adults. She was promised that she would be released if she confessed. Over time, the residents of Salem began to worry as even upstanding citizens were being arrested. The reasons for accusations could be almost anything: the girl's illness, strange claims of visions and fears that plagued them. Any suspicious behavior, a word accidentally spoken, missed church service, or unusual clothing could lead to arrest and imprisonment. The Salem prison became increasingly crowded, and some of the accused died before trial. Dampness, cold, and inadequate food took their lives even faster than the gallows. The trial was set for May. In vain, the accused women tried to appeal to reason. One of them, Martha Corey, urged everyone not to believe the girls' hysterics. People began to doubt. Martha was known for her decency and often attended church. Upon hearing that they were accused of slander, the girls started to contort. They pointed fearfully behind Martha and whispered as if they saw a man whispering "witch" to her and a yellow bird sucking blood from her hand. Martha was hanged, but before her death, she managed to shout at one of the priests, "You are a liar. I am no more a witch than you are a sorcerer. Take my life, and the Lord will give you blood to drink." Ironically, Martha's words turned out to be prophetic. 25 years later, the priest died choking on his own blood. During this dark period in Salem's history, 14 women and 5 men were hanged. 1 man was pressed to death with stones, and 175 to 200 people were imprisoned. 1 woman was held in custody without trial and investigation, and later sold into slavery for debts, while 1 woman managed to escape. Over time, the hysteria surrounding witches subsided. Judges admitted they had made a mistake by believing the girls and allowing mass accusations. Years later, in 1706, it was declared that the court's decision was unlawful, and the girls confessed to falsely accusing innocent people. In 1992, 300 years after the events in Salem, a memorial was erected to the victims of the witch hunts.